but your response was? Your response that you gave to the township was taken from the body?
That's correct.
Okay. I think, sir, what you need to do, I'm sorry, I don't know your name.
Anthony.
Anthony, I think what you need to do is sit down with your union representation and possibly talk with the manager and come up with a solution for this. But right now, we don't have very many options. Hopefully, something can be worked out in the near future where we can bring these guys back. I mean, nobody says that they're a permanent layoff. Right now, we don't have any other options. But I strongly suggest that you get with your union representation.
I know I'm belaboring this, but I don't see why we can't pass the budget and then delay the layoffs and sit down.
Yes, you can.
I know it's not, he's saying it's not our job to bring it to the body. Well, now it's out in the open, and I think everybody knows what's going on.
There's a lot that's not out there.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I understand, Anthony.
Can't hear you.
I understand, Anthony, that you said you have bylaws that you have to follow and so forth and so on. We do have a labor attorney. He has advised us. You said that you agreed with what we were asking for. In reality, that is not true. You agreed in part to what we asked for, but you did not agree in whole. We asked for this for 2011 only. That would protect everyone from layoffs. What happens in 2012, 13, and 14, we don't know as yet. You also said you didn't want to compare the other unions, but then you wanted to compare Warminster, Falls, Borough, excuse me, and they did make concessions. I read the article. They made concessions. They also increased the taxes by $170-some. They also asked the police to contribute to their pension. They also asked the police to contribute to their health care. We are not in those other townships. We're in Bristol Township. There are 57-some thousand residents. And we get calls from those folks as well, begging us not to raise their taxes. Most of whom are senior citizens. Some who raise their grandchildren, and they can't afford it. Again, no one wants to see anyone lose a job. We asked for a 2011 concession. Our labor attorney has asked us not to renegotiate. That's not what we're asking. I'm sorry if for some reason some of this information has not gotten back to all the members, because there were things, you know what? I was told there were things asked last year. So if I'm under the misconception that they were not, I apologize for that, because I thought these things were asked for last year as well as this year. So it was no surprise, or so I thought it was no surprise. Apparently, some folks are not or were not aware of that, so it is a surprise, and it's only been 2 months. But again, you claim that you conceded to what we asked, and that's not true. We're only asking for 2011.
We gave you more.
Yes, sir.
Joe, for the lawn work, this work.
Yeah.
I understood we were under our hiring freeze. Is that correct, Mr. President? Did you just hire a human resource and also assistant finance director?
Yes, those positions were already in the budget.
Don't you think we need?
So are theirs.
First of all,
Excuse me, let this gentleman talk.
first of all, okay, they were in the budget, human resources director, I feel it should be part of your job. Okay? Finance office, I think she should be able to handle that all by herself. I think that whatever, it's gonna come to 120,000 with insurance, a lot more, that there's one police officer back on the street to protect this township. All right? You're saying labor attorney, all right, which is Mr. Bradley. In the past, we spent for other managers hundreds of thousands of dollars with this law firm. Which I can understand because when I worked 3 years ago and those other managers, they negotiated contracts. Why are we spending this kind of money? Again, there's another police officer.
What kind of money, sir?
For a labor attorney, why doesn't our manager sit down, sir?
Mr.
You're
Bradley,
a little bit
have
misinformed
you been
there.
at any of our current negotiation
Jeff?
meetings
Jeff?
involving TWU?
Maybe I'm,
Jeff, you're a little misinformed. Mr. Carlini said that we have a labor attorney. He did not say that he was actively involved in negotiations.
could he being paid? I mean, like, what's he, he's here just to answer questions?
He advised you.
I mean,
Why he's here tonight?
he has nothing to do with negotiating the contract?
Not tonight, no.
All right, I'll get more information together, but also in the past, we've paid for so many fines and so many lawsuits and stuff like that. We can't find money to protect this township and maintain the roads.
I don't know where it's coming from. I honestly don't. I mean,
But
I
you found money
agree.
to hire, you found money to hire too many people. When that can be done, as it is now, I feel with the manager taking one position and maybe a little more workload on her, it's happening all over the world right now. People are losing their jobs, including me doing this thing I'm supposed to do, but I'm handling.
Well, there's a lot of information that you're missing. Our manager has been saddled with a lot of human resource work that makes him not as
He's
efficient
being
as
paid
he
very well
could
to
be.
do it, too, sir.
That
He's got
makes
set
him not
plans.
as efficient as he could be. There's a lot of things that revolve around his
$100,000 a year.
work.
Pretty damn efficient for $100,000 a year.
As far as even the computer system, if the computer system is antiquated and not working
He's
properly,
getting almost
keep in
100,000.
mind that your police officers rely on that.
Yeah,
It's not just
I know.
one side or the other, it's the computer system.
Plus, they don't even live in this
Everything
freaking township.
is linked together so much. You can't cut, you can only cut services so much. You take away their equipment, they are ineffective. Regardless of whether we lay off public works guys, whether we lay off police. I have a good idea. Let's take all the cars away and keep the cops. Are they all gonna walk? Your beat? It's ridiculous. That's
We need to
ridiculous.
protect our township and serve like we've been doing.
And your call time's gonna go through the roof. So listen, you have to be a little realistic in what we can do and what we can't. Yeah, unfortunately.
Chief, I know we have a motion in it. I still want to go back to these capital improvements. Why are we not discussing it? Chief, how many cop cars we're going to, 6 new cop cars this year?
5, possibly 6.
Do we need 6 this year?
Well, the only thing I can say about that is when I first came here,
I know, I was here,
I
and
had
we got all,
I had
yeah.
ordered 15 new cars because the fleet that we had was absolutely falling apart. It does have its ramifications. If we don't have new cars, our maintenance costs go up. So I would rather take the chance on the maintenance cost and not have the new cars. However, that's not, we don't pay a car off in 1 year. We lease those vehicles over 3 years, so that would be a savings of additionally for 11 would be about $86,000. By not ordering those cars, that's what we would save in 11, about $86,000.
If I may, I just have one question to the finance director. I know there's some amendments to the budget. Are you the finance director or not? Oh, okay. Thanks for township manager. There were some amendments to the budget. I didn't hear any for public works. I know there's a line item under public works that actually includes an additional hiring of an additional public works employee for next year. Is that still in the budget, or is that?
That position was removed by council.
Okay, I didn't know if that, I didn't hear that. Was that today or was that previous?
That was, I don't know how long
Okay.
ago. That was prior
In
to
the
this,
budget, in
the
your
advertised
form
budget.
line, that's on there. I was just making sure.
That was removed.
That's
Thank you.
I honestly feel as though this council has taken all the necessary steps that it could to cut all unnecessary costs. I honestly believe that. We also had a budget committee that worked feverishly at trying to find cost-cutting ways to keep the township afloat, funding the budget. Not an easy process. I want everyone to be aware of that. Yes, sir. Please state your name.
Troy Brennan, multiple properties in Bristol Township, head of or member of the Bristol Township Business Coalition. I'd like to talk somebody in the audience had stated that there is no industry in Bristol Township.
I'm sorry, I'm going to need to stop you there because this is a budget meeting that you can bring up.
This is part of it. This is part of it. What I'd like to say is the fact that there is no industry, as we well know, and what we do is, because of the lack of commercial industry we have in the township, we put the burden on the residents to make up the difference. I'm also a believer that laying off police officer is detrimental to this community as well as any community. The problem we have now is, and I'm not a contract negotiator by any means as far as unions go, but for what I've understand from the back and forth is they agreed to the concessions that were made, but the clause at the end states that they guarantee no layoffs. Is that correct?
Through 2014.
Till 2014, okay? So I'm going to speak as a business owner that we can't make those guarantees any way you look at it, as far as I'm concerned. This year there's a deficit in the budget. Next year, we're going to be arrived with another deficit in the budget. So if we can look for today and try to make this concession, we're not going to get anywhere. And I understand the board can't make that guarantee. Now, if I was a union rep and I didn't lay off 4 of my brothers, with the fact that we'll get through this year and hopefully be able to bring more business or make turnarounds, or maybe take our questions to the school board to find out where all our tax money goes, that sounds like a pretty good deal. At least we can get through this year and not be able to lay off this year. At the end of the day, we can't raise taxes, but we can maybe negotiate with school boards, so that way they can supplement the income, so that way we can have more police officers on the street. You know, the 4-year thing, if it was 1 year and they made the concessions this year, why not agree to it? Why don't the union agree to it, so that way nobody gets laid off? And then next year we approach again, because guess what? Next year's going to be more negotiations. Because we're not going to be getting any more money this year. Let's face it. Everybody knows in the audience that we're in a downturn here. So next year's a full negotiation. So why don't they just agree to this year and get through it and not lay any police officers off? That's what I'd love to know from the PBA standpoint.
That's something you need to take up with that. Thank you.
Through the chair. And I'd like to answer that, Troy, because they have to bring it back to the body again, and they don't have enough time. And that's the difference. And that's union negotiation. And that's why I was asking for a couple weeks. And I have to commend TWU for coming through, but I also realize it's 2 different jobs, both important. But also with the businesses, we've been working to get business here, and we had a lot of businesses, and that's a whole nother issue. The banks pulled the plug, you know that.
My name is Marty Lizbinsky. I'm an EMT with...
I'm sorry. Betsy, tell your name again?
Lizbinsky, Liczbinski.